Hello, my name is Marc from jazzguitarlessons.net, and in this 3 video series we'll cover things covered in a previous blog post, a recent blog post in fact. So the blog is called Making the Changes on All the Things You Are, and it covers the fundamental building blocks and blowing over changes. It's a timeless chord progression. Of course, All the Things You Are is a very known tune, but if you can do this properly on All the Things You Are, you can probably do this on a bunch of other songs, right? So since I can explain more in-depth material in a video here, that's what we're going to do. So I'll go over basically the same stuff as you found, you can find in the blog post. We'll have a link here, and it'll give you a chance to hear the stuff. All right, so let's get going. Oh, and before we get going, make sure you are in tune, which is something I do now with something called a polytune clip, which is a great tuner. I never discuss gear in my videos usually, but this one is a polyphonic tuner, which means that I simply have to do this to double check. I just strum all my strings, and oh, my G string's a little high, and it shows all the strings at once. So I'll include a link to their website also, which is an amazing product. Okay, so first let's define what our goal is. It's simply that we want to build solo lines, so melodic lines that clearly reflect the harmony while we're playing, as chords go by in the tune. So unlike rock solos or funk solos or different styles, we have to think ahead and clearly outline the changes. We cannot linger on one scale or one tone for a long time. In the jazz idiom, I mean, jazz or not jazz, that's the essence really of bebop, is being specific with regards to harmony. So the key is targeting what actually matters, what actually changes at the point of chord change, and that's why we say making the changes, right? So what we'll do in part 1, 2, and 3 here, instead of targeting to learn 20 scales and 20 modes or whatever, 20 arpeggios or licks, we can simply play in the key of the moment and say we're going to change what matters. We're going to go to the next chord in the clearest possible fashion at the point of chord change. But for the rest of the solo, we can pretty much do what we want. So we'll do it with 3 basic processes outlined in the blog post. Today, in this video, we're going to do the thirds only, so aiming for the third. It's a very basic and well-known concept, except we'll do it a bit differently. Then, secondly, you use arpeggios, and with a special twist to it, of course. And thirdly, in the third video, we'll do connecting, ascending, and descending arpeggios in a very specific and I wouldn't say non-traditional, but it's not something a lot of people practice. So let's get going. Alright, so for the materials of today's video, aim for the third, said every jazz guitar teacher in unison over the entire world. Playing on All the Things You Are, first chord is F minor 7, so the A flat note is your third, and guess what? It's the melody again. And for the next chord, it's the melody again. So this tune is perfect because this first exercise has you playing the melody. So the thirds connect nicely because we are in the cycle of fourths for the chord, so F minor, B flat minor 7, E flat, etc. So for beginner, if you're a beginner player, what your aim is going to be is just to find the right chord, the right third, right, for every chord. So you say F minor 7, wait, what the third is? Okay, it's A flat. Of course, if you want to take a look at that, there's a PDF on the blog post you can download and practice this on your own. So that will be your first mission statement, is to go. Now I'm down to C major, then to C minor. You have to do this, but here's a twist we're going to do now together, is by, once you find your thirds, you're going to want to add one note before it. So you play just one note before each of the changes, and it sounds something like this. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, right, so that's really creating a phenomenon of tension and resolution. And exactly as I'm looking at the blog post right now, this is exactly what's outlined with those red arrows going down. Is you target the third, and then what you can start doing that's going to be natural to filling it in is, if you're here, or say you'd say third down here, third down here. What you can do is simply playing quarter notes and descend the scale. You're gonna wind up playing the thirds in the right order anyways. Check this out. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's kind of a little improvisation or making the changes secret. Is if you descend the scale starting on the third of the chord, you're going to wind up in the right place naturally. So don't forget to check out the blog post about that. And lastly, before I let you go, so this has been part 1. I'll see you in part 2 where we cover arpeggios, and part 3 where we cover some more arpeggios. One trick of the trade, a pro tip, is to, when you're descending the scale with your third, you'll wind up lacking string. You'll be like, there's no more frets here, I can't play any lower. So what you have to do is spin it. So I think I've outlined this in the blog post as I'm looking at this. You have an arrow, a red arrow that goes up. So say you play your third. That's the next third. Instead of keeping going down the note immediately after the third, you play it an octave up. So we call this spinning at the octave. 1, 2, 3. Watch out here. Right. So this is a really important concept that you need to apply. Whether you're playing a horn or a trumpet, a saxophone, a guitar, whatever, usually piano players, they don't run out of keys that much, but it's still a very cool concept to apply in your improv. You're still targeting the thirds, you're still going down the scale, but once in a while you go, hey, let me jump in octaves. Pretty cool. Okay, so I'll let you go. Of course, you can find all of this and way more. In fact, what we covered in the video is just a tiny piece of the puzzle from the blog post. And I'll leave you with one thought that's omnipresent, that's everywhere on jazzguitarlessons.net and throughout the web. In fact, you need to activate your lines with rhythms. Of course, you need to find your thirds and go down with your scale and do your homework. But in the end, once you're soloing, this is not going to sound very good. You have to go and do yourself a little due diligence in the rhythm and timing, right? So a line that goes dee da 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 is kind of square and fair and boring. What you can do is you can easily activate, and this is a big key because you don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. So I'm Marc from jazzguitarlessons.net, and I'll see you in part 2 of making the changes on all the things you are. Thanks for watching.